Good morning, everyone. I now would like to call to order the meeting of the directors of the Erie Canal Harbor Development Corporation for Monday, November 9th, 2015. I'd like to note for the record that this meeting is being webcast. The directors have received the relevant written materials in advance of today's meeting and are free to ask questions at any time. Consistent with the policy of our parent corporation, we will welcome public comment on items on the following agenda. After each item is presented and any comments are received from directors, we will allow members of the public to provide comments. All comments should be limited to 2 minutes and should only address the item that is under consideration. Before we begin with the substantive portion of the meeting, I would like to ask directors whether anyone has any potential conflict of interest with respect to any of the items on today's agenda. Hearing none, we can then move on. Thank you very much. The foregoing have been noted for the record. So the first item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes. Mr. D.
All right.
Well, let's get the minutes. You get the draft minutes that have been in front of you. You received them and review. I would hope you had a minute to review them. Are there any comments or questions? We will certainly hear deletions. Mr. County Executive.
I have a comment, and it's only we received them this morning on the minutes from the December 2014 meeting, which we quickly going through it this morning and sort of rehashed my recollection, but I would comment and note for the record I would greatly appreciate the minutes to be provided much sooner than this. This is 11 months old, and I vaguely remember some of the actions that occurred during this day. So in the future, I certainly would make the request that minutes be much more up to date than these, which appear to be 11 months old and now being asked for approval, which I think if all the directors looked at these, they may remember some of the things that happened during the meetings and may not others. I thought there was a requirement for a timeline in the meeting, primarily on a monthly basis, that the minutes be provided sooner than that.
So noted. Thank you. We have a motion to approve.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Tom.
The request is for the civic project findings pursuant to Section 10D and G of the UDC Act, adoption of a general project plan, authorization to hold a public hearing under Section 16 of the UDC Act, a determination of no significant effect on the environment, and authorization to take related action. So to try to condense this is more great news. You know, it provides us an opportunity to facilitate increased access and activation on the outer harbor. We have, through the Buffalo Regional Innovation, which is the Buffalo Billion, we have $5 million has been allocated to this project. So in September of 2013, Governor Andrew Cuomo presented his vision for dramatic transformation of the city of Buffalo's largely vacant outer harbor waterfront. This has included the transfer of approximately 350 acres of waterfront from the NFTA to ECHDC. Approximately 190 of that transferred property went to New York State Parks. And I have to say I'm getting great feedback from the public on this park area that's out there, so I think that's great news. And the remaining 160 acres is what we're talking about today. And you know, we talked about moving forward with the green code on that is a long-term process. But in the interim, there are a number of relatively low disturbance activities that could enhance access and facilitate greater public use of this space. So we're pretty excited to talk about that today. This has also been coined as the lighter, quicker, cheaper option. It follows somewhat of a model of Canal Side. It follows the goals and the objectives of the project, which are improving seasonal recreation, tourist access, use and enjoyment of the outer harbor, enhancing pedestrian and bike access, as well as connecting segments of the existing regional trails network, and it certainly minimizes adverse effects on communities and the environment by avoiding inequitable distribution of impacts and maintaining neighborhood and community cohesion. So we think there's so many good things about this opportunity. The project will consist of several capital improvements and investments, which will allow for increased public access, which is our #1 guiding principle, of course, and activation of the ECHDC-owned Outer Harbor lands. So we've had a couple stakeholder meetings. We've had a lot of our partners have been involved in this from the get-go. And here we are today talking about improvements, things like creating a visitor center, creating bike paths, connecting to the Greenbelt Loop, redevelopment of the Michigan Pier, often called the Seaway Pier, into a multi-use flex space. Great opportunity to think about what we did at Wilkinson and moving over and maybe doing something like that over at the Michigan Pier. Develop overmed locations adjacent to the Bell Slip. You know, things that will help the community and be good for birding and painting and photography and astronomy. You know, and any opportunity to help the public get out there and have viewing opportunities. Comprehensive signing package. I mean, one of the biggest complaints we get is signage, so we'd love to do that. An osprey nesting platform, you know, great opportunity to do something like that at Times Beach, and even something as simple as a mountain bike course. And it's active recreation. You know, this is not power bikes of any sort. It's just getting people out there and creating an opportunity where people get to enjoy the area. So we're really excited about this. We think it's a lighter, quicker, cheaper approach. It's what we want to do. It's what we've talked about. It's what the community has talked about. And you know, so you know, I'd like to certainly, as we do this too, we want to be you know, conform with WVE, MBE participation goals of 30%. And you know, I just think this is a great thing as we move forward. There's no question about it. So we have lots of potentials that we can activate that Outer Harbor. We know that in the last summer, we saw, you know, the visitations increase considerably. And now here we are today talking about making some temporary improvements that will make it more fun for the citizens of Western New York once they get out there. So with that said, the requested action, the directors are requested to make findings and determinations pursuant to Section 10D and 10G of the New York State Urban Development Corporation Act of 1968, adopt the Buffalo Outer Harbor Access and Activation General Project Plan, authorize a public hearing to be held, make a determination of no significant effect, and take all related action.
Gentlemen, questions, comments?
Well, if I could, I was involved in the public outreach sessions. We had at least 2, and we sent out around lists of what could be done later, quicker, cheaper. So this is sort of a community consensus of the representatives of stakeholder groups that participated in the public sessions. So unlike some of our previous planning, this was all done in-house, in town, by locals who have given us their input into what they want. We weren't able to do everything the locals want to do because some of the things require environmental approvals, and it requires the city to complete its zoning change, and those things aren't quite done yet. So we're doing the lighter, quicker, cheaper portion now, and hopefully we'll do some more stuff later.
Great. Sam?
I would just add a couple of things. One, this is phase 1. And so we're moving quickly on activating the Outer Harbor, and there's more to come. While this is, I think, a relatively ambitious plan that happened fairly soon after, you know, actually acquiring the property, and as indicated, we've seen a lot more activity out there in no small part because of the bike ferry. I think this is a great first step of many steps to come to activate the Outer Harbor. And I see our friends from the mountain bike organization are here. We're very excited, I am, about that particular component to the Outer Harbor. I think that's going to be a very exciting urban destination for mountain bikers. And this is a great step forward.
Great. Anyone else? Any comments from the public? Hearing none, I'll motion for approval.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Tom, let's talk about event management of property of the Buffalo Outer Harbor.
Yeah, I mean, the excitement continues. So authorization to enter into an agreement for event management of property at the Outer Harbor and to take related action. So here we have a subsidiary of Rich Products, Buffalo Bisons, in the form of Be Our Guest Limited, and a firm that is we're going to hire to manage the events at the Outer Harbor. So we're going to contract with a qualified and experienced event and concession management company for the right to offer and oversee special events in designated public spaces on the Outer Harbor for the calendar years 2016 through 2018, with renewable options for 19 and 20. In exchange for conveying to the rights to offer the events and general profits, we'll receive a base rent and share the revenue portions, which may be used to fund operations as well as civic and cultural programming to date. So what that means is we use the model at Canal side of things to do, and what we want to do on the Outer Harbor, identical to that, is provide excitement. So number one, accessibility. Number two, things to do. And here we found a partner. And Be Our Guest Limited, and a partner that has great experience and great exposure to this sort of business, and they're going to come in here and manage this for us. So we're very, very excited to have that. We went through a lengthy process where we did a formal RFP. The pre-submittal conference was attended by 5 different potential respondents. On September 10th, we received 3 proposals. And all 3 proposals were scored based on the following criteria: experience and qualifications, familiarity with ECHDC projects, financial offer, and proposed technical approach. We held an interview on 9/22, and based on the overall review and an interview with the contractor, the selection committee has deemed this team to be the most qualified to manage events and vending on ECHDC's property on the Outer Harbor. The contractor is extremely experienced and well qualified. Both the Bisons and Rich Products are one of the most recognized and respected entities in this region and throughout the United States. The contractor and his parent have been in the event and entertainment business for over 30 years. Additionally, they currently manage the Glen Iris Inn at Letchworth State Park, a New York State-owned facility, for over 20 years. The terms and conditions, ECHDC and the contractor will enter into an agreement whereby ECHDC will receive a yearly base rent of $12,000 and a percentage, 20% of revenues from the contractor. The term of the contract will be 3 years. The other benefit for us is that we reserve the right to deny any event that are not considered appropriate for the venue. We're also asking the contractor to achieve an MBE participation goal of 30%. So the requested action is the directors are requested to make a determination of responsibility with respect to the proposed contractor, authorize the corporation to enter into an agreement with the contractor on the terms contained in these materials, and take all related action. Based on the foregoing, I recommend approval of the requested actions.
Comments? Mr. County Executive.
Certainly, very happy to see that a local company, especially one such as the subdivision of Rich Products, won the RFP. I certainly have tremendous belief that they'll be able to accomplish what we're seeking. Considering the current state of the Outer Harbor and the plan, especially lighter, quicker, cheaper, is the expectation just in the short run that they will be just bringing in concerts.
That's a question?
Is the assumption in these first couple of years that they will just primarily be bringing in concerts to the old Outer Harbor location?
No, well, we're looking for the group to do other things such as water sports, movie nights. We're looking for things like running event races, festivals, cross-country skiing. We're looking to use their expertise and their experience to do several different types of events.
I know there's certain things that will be ticketed. We certainly would expect festivals and concerts to be ticketed, but are we saying that if we put the lighter, quicker, cheaper in, they'll be charging for cross-country skiing, access to the location during traditional hours?
I think there's 2 separate components. The lighter, quicker, cheaper that we talked about in the first session is stuff that we're going to build and do that would be free to the public. I think that some of the concerts and some of the events that this group will be doing would be ticketed events in some cases. So I think there's a separation of the 2.
That's why I asked the question, because I would expect there to be ticketed prices. Could be very expensive ticketed prices depending on concert or festival, but you've also brought in some other things, and it's not exactly like movie nights. Would the movie nights be open to the public for free, or would there be a charge for that? That's what I'm asking.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, I'd say that's to be determined. If we have water sports and carnivals, I think that, working with our partners, they have the right to charge depending on the appeal. And if there'll be plenty of stuff out there that will be free to the public, and then certain things that are produced by this group, they would have the right to charge, and obviously it would have to be a market rate. We're not looking for anything to be, out of proportion out there.
Did that answer your question?
I guess so.
Okay.
I'd add one thing, and that is that you can generate revenue by having a ticketed event, but we're also asking them to seek sponsorship for certain activities out there, and where that occurs, obviously, revenue generated by sponsorship would be shared actually between the two entities per the contract. So obviously limiting the number of events where individuals have to pay to participate by incorporating more corporate sponsorship into these types of activities will be a priority, as it has been at Canal Side. That's number one. Number two, when I was a young man, going back 25 years ago.
How many?
25. I spent 6 years working for Rich Products and the Buffalo Bisons, and I think towards the end of my time with the Bisons, we came up with a slogan called "Every Game's an Event," and I think in hiring this company, we're getting the best of the best. I think it's a great decision. I think that they're going to take great pride in the Outer Harbor. Obviously, the Rich family takes great pride in Buffalo, and I think I'm very excited about the Bisons, Riches, and Be Our Guest managing that property and managing the festivities and activities out there.
Any other questions, comments? Any questions or comments from the public? Hearing none, a motion to approve.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Now we'll call on Mr. Golick, who will present an item relating to the Children's Museum at Canal Side. Steve?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Last meeting, the board approved moving forward with exploring more in the Canal Side Museum. We just have a little housekeeping item we need to take care of. We're negotiating the terms of a lease, which the board approved. It's going to be $1 a year. But under the Public Authorities Accountability Act, specific findings have to be made to allow a below-market lease. Information specifically that are in the board materials need to be provided to the board, like the appraised value, description of the property, the other bidders in the property, and then ultimately the board has to make a specific finding that there's no reasonable alternative to below-market transfer in order to meet the goals of the project. Obviously, in this case, we're getting a museum, we're getting a children's museum. It's a not-for-profit corporation. So we're asking the board to make those findings under the Public Authorities Accountability Act. Thank you.
Questions, comments from any director?
I'd just like to comment, I was on the board back when we invited the entire not-for-profit public to submit plans that they could participate in Canal Side. With that came an analysis of viability of the not-for-profit plans and proposals, and I think it was Lord and I forget the second name, but that did the analysis, and they, was it Abbott? Taylor? Apple. Lord, no, not. And in any event, they came to the conclusion that if we wanted to stay with the museum theme, there was only one museum that could break even in an operational basis, and that's a children's museum. And so we ended up with the Children's Museum winning out over the other choices. And we've gone forward from that point with the idea that there were challenge grants that they have to meet. And I see the $750,000 that we're putting in, but it doesn't show that they are well on their way to the challenge of $9 million for the internal exhibits that they have to put together. So I think it's a very fair and reasonable approach that we've taken up to this point, and the fact that it's below market is only on a real estate analysis basis. It's not below market when you look at their contribution, and it's not below market when you look at the viability of the organization going forward once we get it built.
Right. Thank you.
The PAAA doesn't define what fair market value is. I agree. You could say this is a fair market based on what the corporation's getting, but it's just, I think, just a housekeeping line detail we have to approve.
Any comments from the public? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
So move second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you very much. Mr. D, President's report.
Yeah, again, more good news. Mary Grace Welsh from National Grid is here, and at the end of the meeting, she would like to present an urban renewal grant for $250,000 to the corporation. And that $250,000 is part of an original grant of $500,000, of which they've already paid the first $250,000, and that actually is part of another. The total that they've contributed to this project has been $800,000. So it's great news today that we'll collect that check from Mary Grace, and I think that's very kind of her to come here in person and deliver that. So thank you very much to Mary Grace and to National Grid for being such great partners. It's just a real thrill to have that happen. Continuing on, I'd like to say that we lit up the grain elevators last Wednesday to huge success. We reinvented the grace and charm of a bygone era and accomplished two major objectives in terms of things to do. We have added to our nighttime enjoyment at Canalside, and now we're operating the illumination project 365 days a year, which now means we have another reason to visit Canalside more frequently. So we had about 8,000 happy visitors that night, and our Facebook and Twitter page lit up. Let me read a great quote from Josh Robinson, who tweeted, "I like that Canalside keeps coming up with ways for people to keep coming down there over the season. Cold, ? Ice skating. Dark ? Silo light show." So that's the way the public is treating what we're doing, and we're absolutely thrilled with the response we're receiving from the public. We'll have, what we know is a monolith by day there, which is a beautiful building to some degree and a bold new expression at night. We've created a unique experience that could only be found right here in our own backyard. So I think that was great, a great experience from last Wednesday. Moving forward, we're preparing for winter activities. So if you get over on the odd block right now, you'll see that our logos are in, our ice is in, crews are working very hard, the site looks good. It's an amazing transformation, recognizing that it was 70 degrees last week. So that's the positive side. The forecast has 4 days of rain out of the next 6. So in terms of when we open up, stay tuned. And I think that, be happy that the ice is in place and it looks great. And in addition to that, we're going to have our annual tree lighting ceremony early December as well. And I think the other big benefit is we'll be open a month sooner than we were last year. So to be open that soon will give us another great benefit around before Thanksgiving, when all our relatives come back to town, all the expats come back to town, they'll be able to ice skate this year, and we're really looking forward to allowing that to happen. And I just say, look for clarification on our website. All the events will be posted. The other thing that's great is we have so many new benefits. We do this with everything at Canalside. We always look for ways to make it better. And this year, from what we had from our customer feedback and experiences from last year, we have better warmth this year. We have heated tents. We have a winter pavilion that will comfort the skaters and the visitors. We have food. Pizza plant will be opening soon. Certainly Panorama on 716, Liberty Hound, food trucks, the food that we'll have in the winter pavilion. Better queuing, so we're all about customer service. So we're going to make it easier for people in crowd control, so we don't have congestion. We'll have congestion because we're going to be crowded. That we can bank on, but we're going to do a better job of queuing people through. We also would encourage season passes, so people don't have to wait in line. And then we're also going to have nighttime activity with things like open mic and trivia night. So again, doing what we do at summer activities now to the winter. And we talked today about the Outer Harbor, some great things. So we approved the lighter, quicker, cheaper. And we talked about the event planning with Be Our Guest, so we're really happy about that. Design and construction, we have construction projects going on at the extension of the Central Wharf. First Buffalo Marina, I think we're having bids are coming in on that on November 12th. And the Children's Museum design is advancing at a good clip, so we're close to wrapping up schematic design, which also is exciting. And I think, point of clarification, we're booking concerts right now. So, I know that there was a non-binding resolution that was passed by the Common Council, but we have no plans right now to move the concerts, not at this time, and we actually are booking concerts right now. So we're going to have fun again at Canal Side, and look forward to that. I'd say, in closing, just sharpen your skates. Get ready for an unbelievable winter. We're going to open earlier than last year, and it'll be a real treat for all the expats and for the holidays. So get ready and get those skates going. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any comments?
Yeah, I just want to compliment Tom and the corporation staff. But just using, almost 6 years ago, using the tree lighting we had December 2009 as kind of a marker down there on the waterfront. The 2 food trucks, Liberty Hound wasn't open yet. They did some food sampling, fairly small event. And just in 6 years' time, less than 6 years, it's just amazing progress. And I think my hat's off to Tom and the staff. It's fairly incredible. The other night was really an amazing event, and short time, very big important games on the water.
Thank you.
I would agree, Mike. I mean, we have a group of very dedicated individuals. Most of them are in the room right now that work extremely hard and are able to really accomplish quite a bit. And it just continues to get better and better. And the biggest challenge is trying to predict how many people are going to come. Who would have thought that it would have been 70 degrees out last Wednesday night, and 8 to 10,000 people there for something that's pretty exciting. So stay tuned. We'll continue. I would agree with you, Tom. The improvements for the people and the comfort for those during the winter months are quite an improvement, and I think people will really appreciate that. And that's actually what we're here for. So if there's no other comments, my last order of business will be to wish everyone a very happy Thanksgiving. Pardon me?
Merry Christmas.
Well, she's going to
she's going to do it. Yeah, we're going to set that. That's a special event.
Okay.
I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second, all in favor? We are adjourned. Thank you.